And okay, start. Always start with organization. I'm not, I was like, yeah. Anyway, so so we're gonna organize the strips because these kits are cut strip specific. So hopefully there's a little chart in your kit, and you need the 2 spools and the block corners and the background. In this case, I used 2 different background fabrics, one that surrounded the spools and for these little pieces, and one larger, and you'll see that on the screen in a minute. And now, if you have the set T, this is, we're going to use set T. If you don't have set T, I will talk about that too. But then I have another presentation to show you. So maybe if you still haven't bought set T, you'll be convinced that you need set T. Okay. So cut Q94 and QD as right triangles. This is going to create bias on that long edge. So you're going to need a little bit more care as you're sewing them. We'll do that. So Q39 for the background corners, which again would be here, because we want those straight grain on the outside of the block. Now, this one is QB, and the choice here is to cut. If you look at the back, on the back page, where she tells you the finish size, the cut size, and the strip width, she says the cut size is 1 15/16. Then she rounds that to 1 3/8. So 15/3, yeah. So whatever, but actually it's cut out of a 3-inch strip when it's on the diagonal like that. So it's a little bit easier to cut 3-inch strips. And actually I often have 3-inch strips in my scrap basket already cut. I happen to have background strips that were already cut 3 inches. So it was easy enough to lay this on a 3-inch strip. And this is the background fabric. And then she says in there, there's the little box in the book under the cutting chart. There's a box and it says to cut a 2 1/4 by 7 9/16 inch strips. And then you're going to alter the edges using the Q94. So I showed on there how the 9/16 is just it's just a smidge less than 7 5/8. So if you rounded it to 7 5/8, you would probably be okay if you're going to do that technique. Or you can buy a set T and use the T. We're going to use the T 103A portion of this 103 template. So what I did was I cut the 2 1/4 inch strip, which is the same size strip it tells you in the little box under the cutting chart. So I'm cutting a 2 1/4 inch strip, and then I just use that, and it matches the solid line of what they call the 103B part of that template. Now, I keep showing this Quilter Select ruler in my drawing, in my slides. And these are, you may be familiar with these and you may not be. These are Alex Anderson, who, if you've been around a while, she's a kind of a quilting celebrity. She has developed these rulers, and they have a all over sort of texture on them that gives them a little more grip. Debatable for some of us as to whether it's too much grip, because you really can't slide it. It really doesn't slide. So if you're used to, like I love the Creative Grid rulers where they are molded in little spots of sandpaper and they slide, but when you push down on them, they do stick. Now, all rulers wear out if you are using them very much. And so my Creative Grids really are getting worn out. Both my edges are getting kind of rough, and those are, the sandpaper things don't grip quite as well as I would like. So I needed another one this size. So I went ahead and I ordered this for my own use. And then I liked it well enough that I ordered some here. So I do have some on hand. And then I didn't have a 3x12. I have a 6 and 6.5 by 12. I didn't have a 3x12. So I thought, well, I'm going to try that. And I actually really like this size. So whether you have one this size and want one from this, like, see, just putting it on there, just trying to slide it off, it doesn't even want to slide onto the whole surface. It really is grippy. And I'll leave these here so you can kind of feel them. But I'm going to make a special offer today that these are 25% off if you order these. This is our special of the day. And I do have some of the large ones on hand. They are regularly $49.99. So they would be 25% off. I think it makes them 40, like roughly 40, $39.99. And this is, I think it goes from $19.99 to $14.99. So it's 25% off. So anyway, if you like those, if you keep seeing those and saying, what is that, Charlotte? Because I haven't seen that. I don't have any of these on hand today. So anyway, so that's a special for today. And they're accurate. The lines are nice and fine, very nice and fine. So anyway, so
order the small one at the 25.
Yes, yeah, prepaid, yeah. Those will be the special, those two sizes today. I know there are many more sizes. Who I order them from, there's not as many sizes available. So, but these I thought were the best two. My opinion. Okay, so I was reminded that after I got all my pieces cut and I started sewing, I done the classic thing where I just slapped the little one on top of the big one. But do you see this hump on the screen? If you can see that hump on the left-hand side, that is that bias edge on the top, and the straight piece is on the bottom, and that presser foot is just pushing and it's giving. So I had to stop, flip it over, and then with the straight grain on top, you don't get that effect and everything sews together more accurately. When you do have, now the next position is sewing, it's sewing this little teeny tiny piece right here. Looks bigger on my screen. It's this little piece onto this piece. And these two edges are biased, because remember we cut everything as a right triangle. So this is straight grain, this is biased. These we cut out of that 3-inch strip, so that makes that bias. So you just have to be extra careful when you're sewing those two edges together. And you can see I'm using my little finger thing so that I'm not holding on to it, I'm just guiding it in so I don't get distortion there. What did I, well, okay, so then once you sew that little piece to that triangle, it matches the T. It matches the T103 triangle that is in here. So that gives you a clue that everything is going together. Somewhere it is. There it is. So that's the T103 that it matches. Okay, another little testimonial here. So this is where I had sewn all those. So they are like this big sitting on my ironing board. Yep, it's oh, you're right. Sorry, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say that doesn't look right. We haven't gotten to that yet. There's the big one. So excellent eye. So I was ironing them, and so first you iron them all flat, and then I treat them with my little marker, Easy Press marker, to get them extra flat. Well, I had pressed them all and they all kind of looked flat, and then I started going through. So all the ones on the right have been treated with the marker and they're laying flat. And the 3 on the left, and you can see by those deep shadows, those ends are just raising right up. So they're no longer flat. So I just thought, well, that was like a great illustration of how that product really keeps them flat. We don't know what it is or how it works. Okay, so this again is another example of where I could easily sew these 2 half square triangles together and make a square out of 2 of them. But these are supposed to be sewed together so that 2 triangles make another triangle, and then those 2 triangles sew together. So again, I use this board to lay them out and carry to the sewing machine with me. And if I had been concerned about which way the seams were going to press, I could have made a sketch from that illustration under, I think it's 2. And I could have just placed that under there so that I had that as a reference to which way I was going to do that. And you follow the layout picture in the book to get your spool spinning, and you stitch that 4 patch. Then remember, this is where I was pointing out, remember when we cut these, we were getting that bias edge. And so when you are sewing those together, see the, do you have the whole screen there? Yeah, you do. Okay, so you want to make sure, because that, to make sure that that triangle is fitting your 4-patch spool, find the center mark on that triangle and match it to the seam of the spools. Because again, we still have quite a bit of bias going on there. And so it could have distorted. I know mine weren't exactly perfect anymore, but laying that straight edge of the background. So this actually is straight. This is straight grain. And then there is your finished block. Mine is ever so slightly large by, it's not quite a 1/4 inch, but it is more than 10 1/2. It's about almost 10 3/4. So not a huge problem. I'm not worrying about it. I know I've heard some of you worry about that yours aren't exactly. If they're all the same size, we're going to be able to deal with it. So, okay. Any questions on that? See, there are my 3 colorways. My card doesn't have the picture in them. Oh my. Okay, so if you already own set T, it's worth looking at the next quilt pattern. If you've undecided, take a look at what you can do with set T, besides the couple of useful cuts that in this month's block. But see page 7 in your book.
Page 7.
Okay, this is called Summer Bliss. And using set T, you're going to make 20-inch finished blocks. And let's see if I can.
Tell us what we're looking at here.
The Summer Bliss.
Yeah.
Okay, we're looking at Summer Bliss. Okay, so now if you turn to pages 12 and 13, I'm going to talk about there. This is a, you can see the whole quilt there pictured on page 12. It's 3 blocks by 4 blocks plus borders. So if you needed a quick quilt, like for a wedding or for a graduation gift, or because you were tired of your own bedroom and you didn't want to take a whole year to do it, you were just like, I love these fabrics. This is a quick quilt, big quilt. And it starts with using set T. So it's just got 2 basic blocks. I think month 1, we did that cottage mosaic. That was our first square within a square. And then the other is a variation on our months 7 and 8, the ones you've just done. But using the set T, they make a 20-inch finished block. So you would look at pages 8 and 10 for that. And again, you're using larger pieces and it just sews faster. So let's see if I can. So choose, the tips here, use 2 of the same fabrics in both blocks, helps blend the blocks into a new design and blurs the visible line between the blocks. And see page 7 for more guidance on choosing fabrics. But again, remember that like this book shows most of their quilts show quite traditional fabrics, but this would be a good place to play with some of these more modern fabrics and the larger florals. So king size has a couple of options. And I thought this was like really neat. And you could actually use this same information on any number of quilts. But there are two options. You could keep the balance layout symmetrical. What are you seeing here? So let's see, can you minimize that, or we can't? Can we minimize that?
Because you have your people in there?
Yeah.
What you want?
Minimize that. Okay, excellent. Okay. So you can keep it balanced using half blocks, or you could make complete half blocks that have the extra 1/4 inch. Or you can cut the blocks in half. And when you cut the blocks in half, you'll sew them on the sides. And so the middle part of the block that's missing the 1/4 inch is on the outside. And you're never going to miss that when you sew the border to it.
Gotcha.
You know, you would not miss that there was a 1/4 inch missing from there. So think about that and study that. It's just a really neat technique. It's like just make another row, keep it symmetric, just cut it in half, move them to the sides, and be done with it. Or don't worry about the symmetry. It's going to look more modern if you keep it asymmetric like this one is showing. So anyway, just an example. So this uses 11.5 to 13 yards of fabric for a king size quilt. But there are so many fewer seams because you're making 20-inch blocks that with your Shoppers Club card, just estimating them at $12.99 a yard, you're going to do a whole king size quilt, the front, for less than $140, which is still almost less than what we often are coming up with a queen size quilt, because by the time we have all those seams, it eats up the fabric. So anyway, just something I wanted to share with you because I thought that was so cool. It's kind of hidden in the book. I flipped past that front part so many times. And one day I was kind of taking a closer look and I went, wow, this is really pretty cool tip. So anyway, that's what I've got for you today. See if I can stop sharing that. Stop sharing. Yes, okay. And any questions or anything I've forgotten, Kirsten, have you thought of?
I don't think so. You talked about the thing I forgot last week.
Okay. Sandy?
Would you put that T103 up there again to show which triangle it was? On the quilt itself?
No,
On the quilt? No, I know, but which one was it? The one that's not that.
Did I slip it back in the
the corner.
oops. T103 is this corner.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you said what you could use it also to see whether you put it back. Okay, thank you.
And then the little one is going to be inside there.
Your Q
Do it again.
piece is gonna be the one that marks, yeah.
Okay, do it again.
Can we do it?
Yes, yeah, the little one is a Q.
Okay, so this is here's the large one that goes on the outside when I was setting them. This is the pieced,
And it'll be the same size.
it's the 103A and the Q, I think it's 94. Sewn together equal that.
And I think the little triangle is Q94.
Q94, that's what I think.
The small one is 4.
I can't keep straight which one's the smaller one. Q95 is the smaller. Yeah, Q95 is the smaller. I was like, because the larger number is the smaller. Yeah, it doesn't correlate to. Okay, any other questions?
Put your black block up there so we can take a picture of it.
My black and white?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we can take a picture of it so we know where to put these fabrics.
On the screen here? Yes, I will try to figure out how to do that.
This lady has the most wonderful thing. She copies her thing and then puts it next to her sewing machine so that she knows the sizes.
Verda is getting organized. So these are, she copied them. It looks like how they were taped in the original packaging,
Yeah.
but you laid the back out. And she keeps that at the side of her table.
A sewing
Sewing machine.
with my phone with the picture. Really organized.
Yes, that's very organized. Excellent tip. Anything else? I thought of one other thing, but now I already lost it. Oh, well.
I have a question. Which set did you use for those alternate blocks?
Okay, I do
That's-
have, I know, that's what I was going to say.
That's
I
not-
am going to address this. I have been meaning to all along. I'm going to address this in detail next month. And like I said, it will be recorded if you can't make it. It is in the book. It is on page 49. It's on page 49 of the book. And the next step is I am putting on the, I'm to the borders. And it's cool because the design works into the border, extends like that, much like this table runner looks like it's going to do, but doesn't. It really does. These continue, these points continue into the border, which will be neat. And these are the colors I'm using. So these are the colors I'm going to use.
That's pretty.
So that'll be, I'm looking forward to. Now that the shop hop quilt is done, so I'm going to stop. Yeah, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. And we are going to put this up as a recording. And thank you very much.